Howdy everyone. The red button says we are live, so I'm going to take it at its word, and here we go. Welcome to the live stream. Jeff Bartsch here with Story Greenlight, and we are all about, at Story Greenlight, we're all about helping content creators like you connect with your audience, turn up the impact of your work, and change people's lives through creative video editing and powerful storytelling. That's what we're all about here. And I'm glad that you are here, and here is what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about these guys, Casey Neistat and Jack Conte, two incredibly creative men for whom I have a huge amount of respect for both of them for reasons that I'll get into. And they recently had an interaction that is going to tie into the main idea of what the stream's about today, which would be this. There's a very popular idea out there that flashy editing is the thing that you have to do, that in order to be relevant as a creator, that you have to do stuff like this. So repeat after me. More edits does not automatically mean better edits. I will actually say that again. More edits does not automatically mean better edits. That's the idea of what we're going to be talking about today. There's a time when flashy editing works really, really well, and there are plenty more times when you just don't need it, but everyone seems to think that you do. And so we're going to talk about how that works, how to use that in your content, and how you should not feel less than or feel like you're missing out on something if you don't use it. So that's what we're going to be talking about. And let's see, checking in briefly to make sure everything's good with picture and sound. I do not see any complaints, so I'm going to assume that everyone's happy. Hello. So we are going to be jumping into engagement very soon here, so looking forward to that. In the meantime, if you are, if you're new here or if we haven't met, my name is Jeff Bartsch, and this is my background. I built my career editing television in Hollywood for all kinds of folks, some of the largest media outlets in the entire world, and I've personally contributed to literally thousands of hours of finished television. And along the way, I've learned a lot about telling stories and storytelling and video editing and how that all works together and how you can actually create pieces that touch people's hearts and minds and actually make a difference in the world. And that's what I'm looking to pass on to y'all. So if you're new here, I'm just so you know, it's like I love telling stories. I'm actually here in my edit bay for my current editing job. I'm on my lunch hour. That will be lunch. I love telling stories, and I love helping people tell the stories that they care about the most. So if you are new here and you have not hit the subscribe button, I encourage you to do that, and make sure you hit the bell when you do that so you can know when more videos are coming up and when you can get notifications for streams like this one. So here is a question. I would like to know, how would you describe your editing style? And I will say, if the answer is, what the heck is editing style? I didn't even know I was supposed to have a style. That is totally cool, and we should talk about that because that is a totally legitimate answer. And in the meantime, I will give you a point of reference. I'll give you a point of reference for my own how I would describe my own editing style. I put together a little sample reel of some of the stuff that I've done over the past recent years. I actually started out, well, actually, let me back up a little bit. I did a video recently about how to edit your vlog to the next level. There's a description for that down in the link down in the description below. And that was one of the things that I talked about, how edit style is actually a thing and the importance of developing your own editing style. So for more discussion on that, check out that video. And you know, in terms of myself, I started out basically just wanting to, like, I was fresh out of film school. I ran out of money. I dropped out of college. To this day, I do not have a degree in anything. So just point of reference, you know, you can still build your career in the entertainment industry without a degree. Proof right here. I just wanted to learn the industry editing system, which as of right now still is the Avid Media Composer, and I was just wanting to learn how the tools work. And then my first thing was like, oh, I want to get all hip and flashy and do all the stuff. And the longer I've edited professionally, the more I lean away from flashy stuff. I do it in a very calculated way. I don't do it all the time, certainly for reasons that I'll talk about in a little bit, but I tend to lean more towards full frame effects, not a whole lot of graphics flying around. I'm not a motion graphics guy. And I lean more towards simplicity with the goal of, like, I would describe my editing style as clean. I'm doing everything possible to let the content do the speaking, not just the editing. So that's a little point of reference for me. So let's see what y'all are talking about. Okay. Hello, everyone. Hi from Chester, UK. What's up, Jonathan? Good to see you. Very cool. Happy lunch break, everybody. Agreed, Diane. More edits does not automatically mean better edits. Preach, Lindsay. Yes. Alex Fishing, I can't lie, I like the flashy edits. Totally. I totally get that. And there's a reason for that. It's a double-edged sword, I will tell you. Duck Gun Chronicles. You know what? Regarding the camera angle, I will say this is me doing the best I can with what I can do at the moment. But I will say I'm looking to upgrade. So FYI, we're working on that. CJ is editing right now. Fantastic. Very cool. Very cool. What's update? My style, novice. That is totally cool. That is totally cool. Same Lindsay. Fair enough. Well, so here's the thing. Here's the thing. When you talk about editing style, it's like, well, you know, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just say this. The idea of what editing style is very quickly becomes identified with yourself and with your own content. And it's very easy for people to get their feelings little pinched, stomped on, if you will. It's just like, well, how dare you talk about editing style? This is me, and this is the way I like to do things. And I'm like, that's totally cool. That's totally legitimate. Here's the other thing. You also need to know what your content is and who it's going to, because you may need to adjust how your own personal editing style is, depending on who your audience is. And that is just one of one of the dozens of questions that you have to ask yourself if you really want to dial in what your content is. And actually, I will say that one of the best ways for people to dial in the creation of their content is to ask the right questions, which is why I put this thing together. If you have not yet gotten a copy of this, there is a link for a free download. What this is a checklist. There are some folks here who have literally downloaded this and they put it up on their wall to help them ask the questions to shape the direction of your content. And these questions are the questions that I ask myself every day when I'm editing on a professional gig or even on a personal project, you know, for YouTube stuff or whatever. And so this is the real deal. It will change the way you think about your content. Grab yourself a copy. Link is in the description below. I will double check on comments. GlamFam, howdy. I edit for people with ADD, pop-ups and changes and such to draw people's attention. Yes, yeah, I get that. If you know that your crowd is distracted and you know that they're working with ADD and they're doing 8 things at once, then yeah, you need to kick the can. That's one of the things that one of my early mentors talked about in terms of flashy editing, is he calls it like kicking the can. You know, you have a baseline. You might have a baseline of your editing pace, of your cutting pace, and then every once in a while you just like bump it. You kick the can down the street a little bit. And just keep things a little different, switch things up. Let's see. Reviewing files. Javier, I like the smooth zoom effect, but I like Justin Odissio's take that if you can make a simple cut work, then that's the best most of the time. I am 100% on board with Justin Odissio in terms of the simple cut. I mean, like literally, you look at television, and most television or movies, 90% of everything you see is a straight cut, straight up edit. Give yourself permission to just do a straight up edit and vary off of that if you want. Sam Colder and Peter McKinnon are huge in this space. Very true. I have been influenced by Peter McKinnon's style myself, particularly by his shooting, which I will say, personally, I've spent my entire career in Hollywood cutting other people's stuff. And ever since starting this channel up this past fall, I will say it's become clear that it's one thing to to cut other people's content. It's another thing entirely to conceive and then shoot and then edit your own stuff. It's like, okay, there's a learning curve here. People like Peter McKinnon have been hugely helpful for me in learning and moving forward in that learning curve. Let's see. I have to fight my photographer brain to learn how to shoot and edit video, says Jonathan Thompson. Learning what works in editing helps me be mindful in shooting the footage to attempt to capture all the required footage. 100%, man. I can't tell you. It's like everyone, I'm firmly convinced that anyone who shoots should have to do at least some editing so they can actually know how what they're shooting ends up being used downstream. And the same thing with folks like me who sit in my room, all by myself with my Avid all day long, and people who sit in edit bays or at editing systems should absolutely be required to show up on set at least once in a while to know what a nut house it can be. Let's see. Let's see here. Okay, so here's the deal. So that's some initial discussion here on editing style, and what I'm going to do. Going to move on back to that crazy flashy editing clip that I showed earlier. So here is some backstory on these guys. So in case you're not familiar, Casey Neistat is a hugely successful vlogger. His channel right now has over 9 million subscribers. Something that people may not know, Casey actually started out as a legit filmmaker. I mean, like, he actually got a film, he got a feature film into Sundance, and he actually shot and sold a TV series to HBO, and they aired it. So, like, he has serious storytelling chops, and the fact that he makes everything look so snappy and breezy the way he does is the mark, frankly, is the mark of a master. Mastery makes things look easy, and he is damn good at what he does. Then the guy on the right is a guy by the name of Jack Conte. Now, Jack Conte is a ridiculously talented and multi-instrumentalist, songwriter, producer. He plays like 15 different instruments or something like that. It's kind of nuts. And he is the husband, well actually, he is half of the group Pamplemousse. Pamplemousse Music is their YouTube channel, which is not currently down in the description, but I will put it down there. They have been putting out videos since 2009, like before Casey Neistat or anyone imitating Casey was doing their thing. So both these guys have serious chops and serious credibility in terms of creating content and putting it out into the world. Now, here's what happened. So Casey Neistat announced a new thing that he's doing, a new show on his channel called 368 that's being set up to promote the growth and success of up-and-coming YouTube creators. And so Jack Conte, oh, actually, I need to tell you a little bit more about Jack. Pause. Jack, he is so talented and so accomplished as a musician. He and his wife, he and his now wife, Natalie, created videos and put them on YouTube where they got millions and millions of views, and they made hardly any money. So what he ended up doing was he co-founded Patreon, which is a platform that was created with the sole purpose of helping creators get paid directly, and is paid and supported by their audience. So financially, he's now doing pretty well for himself. Anyway, so as the CEO of Patreon, he saw what Casey Neistat was saying about this new thing about 368, and he said, hey, dude, like, I have an idea and I want to talk with you. So what he did, he put together a video trying to get Casey's attention. This thing was it was highly produced, highly edited, and it made an impact. The thing went viral and it got Casey's attention. Casey said yes. They met. Jack flew out to New York to meet with Casey. Casey did a video on his channel about his meeting with Jack, and then Jack did a second video on what his pitch was to Casey. So that's the context of this. And so in Jack's second video, he put together more like crazy, highly produced stuff like this.
But the story starts when the video that I made last week to get Casey's attention goes viral. It was so fun.
So, that's the kind of stuff that was going on. Okay. Good grief. Sorry, excuse me, there's some technical stuff going on where I'm hearing like myself 3 times. I'm hearing myself in a delay from Wirecast. I'm also hearing myself from the live playback. Anyway, let me just check back in the comments just to make sure. Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so that messed with my head. Bear with me. Getting back into things. So anyway, so that's the kind of stuff that Jack was doing in the second video, and man, oh man, it was it was kind of nuts, and you're like, dang, this stuff is crazy. So if you want to see the first video that Jack did to get Casey's attention, and Casey's video of them meeting, and the second video, those videos are all linked in the description below. Check that out. Now, I'm going to move away from that story because that's not the point. The point of this that we're going to be talking about is people's reactions to this. Thousands of comments. Jack Conte's personal page went from like 25,000 subscribers to a week later is well over 100,000, and it was like and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views. And comments are things like this. Holy moly, creative beast, this is something YouTube has never seen before. Which was actually a little hyperbolic because there's nothing new under the sun. And as creative as the video is, as creative as Jack's videos are, there is not a single element that is completely new. But that's what creativity is. But I digress. Here's another thing. A great idea and story and all that stuff, but man, the edit couldn't have been better. 894 thumbs up. And everyone's just like, holy moly, the editing, all of the editing. In fact, it went so far to do, why do these videos make me feel like I just did a ton of cocaine and speed at the same time? To which someone replied, are you complaining or are you saying thank you? Please, I need more edits. I need more pictures and edits for the things. Help! You know, just that kind of stuff. And what this speaks to, it speaks to, number one, well, in my own personal opinion, it speaks to our American culture of the desire for excess. That montage that I just showed you, the first time I watched it as a viewer, I was like halfway through it, I'm like, okay, I get the point. It's still going. Holy crap, it's still going. It's still going. And it's still going. I mean, like, it's excessive. Now, one can make the argument that that was the whole point. You need to be excessive to get someone like Casey Neistat's attention, which was successful. So at the end of the day, Jack wins. But just in the larger scheme of things, there is a prevailing opinion that when people like more edits means you're doing it better. And which the converse of that means is like, oh, well, you're not putting things together that makes people feel like they're on speed or they're having an epileptic seizure. Oh, well, you're not doing it right. To which I say, absolutely not. There are different effects and different approaches for different people and different content at different times. But man, it's just so easy for people to say, it's like, oh, look, all the flashy objects, all the shiny flashy objects, oh, that means it's automatically good. No, that does not mean it is automatically good. I will put pause in there just to check in to what we're talking about. Let's see. Going back to what Javier said, Jesse has some amazing edits on his videos as well. They use music and sound effects to elevate the transition. Yes. Yes. Adding sound design, which I will say is exactly what Jack did to the extreme, Jack Conte did to the extreme with his video here. It's all sound design. That is, I mean, that is a secret weapon to add more energy, is to specifically sound design things. Let's see. What's Update says, Casey makes it look easy like you don't appreciate how much he puts into it. 100%. That's the total. That's absolutely what he does. You may not know this, but Casey has an editor working a lot. Like, his editor is regularly working until 4 o'clock in the morning while Casey is sleeping, and then the next morning Casey takes over the cut and delivers it with his daily show. It is not possible for Casey to do the kind of shooting that he does and to do the kind of editing that is always there. You cannot do that all by yourself. It's just not possible. And Conte founding Patreon is huge for small creators looking to earn a livelihood. Absolutely. Lewis, would you say that flashy editing is required? No. Asterisk. It just depends on what you're looking to accomplish. If you are going to a younger audience who expects flashy stuff, then you should probably give them some flashy elements every once in a while. But it depends. It depends on a number of things, which we'll be getting into more in just a second. Because on YouTube you need that watch time, or should we focus on putting out story? Story. Choose story over flash every single time. Story is king. Story is the thing. Lindsay, I'm sure story will always carry more weight than the editing. Yes, and you know why? You know why that's true? Because there are plenty of things which have a compelling story, and there's not a single edit in them. Like a live stream of someone doing something, or just like an uninterrupted clip of a talking head, someone with a talking head walking down the street saying something incredibly compelling, it doesn't need editing. So yes, content is the driver. Alex Fishing, do I tell real fishing stories, the dirty lens, the bad angle, the noise, or do I just catch the fish, set everything up, and act like I just catch it with underwater shots at all? The answer is yes. You do whatever is necessary to communicate what's happening. And I will say the element on YouTube is time and time again, you will see how people tend to gravitate more towards grit and real and not polished. Even the guys and gals who are super polished, they intentionally will put in, they'll add in some visual grunge, like they'll add some slop in just because they don't want it to feel like a 100% polished studio feature film kind of thing, where everything is photoshopped and color corrected and visual affected up to the end of time. YouTube, by virtue of the medium, what it is, broad strokes, broad rule of thumb, people do like real and gritty. They like mistakes. So allow yourself to get something in that. But of course, people also like beautiful shots and incredible moments. So if you have the underwater shots, for instance, of the lure dangling down and the fish snapping onto the lure and the camera's right there, by all means, use that 100%. Haha, the edit got the attention of all the gamers. Let's see. Snail Trail. Howdy, man. Good to see you. What do you think others using this type of format to get other YouTubers' attention in different niches? What do you think? Let me think here. What do you think of others? What do you think others using this type of format to get other YouTubers' attention in different niches? I'm not 100% sure how to answer that, because this is not something. This is not something that is. Your style is secondary to your content itself, and the idea of getting YouTubers' attention in different niches. Well, the number one question is, are they interested in your content? Now, if the style happens to tickle their fancy, fantastic. But I think the idea of saying is like, is this style something that can get other people's attention? I believe it's really not the point so much. Again, like if you're going for a crowd, so Snail Trail, like so you're going mainly after, I assume mainly guys who are doing who are into 4x4 off-roading and that kind of thing. You're not going after, so your crowd is, you're not going after 13-year-olds. You're probably going after 20 to 30 something males, is my guess. That crowd, in my opinion, just off the top of my head, they're going to be more. They are going to be more forgiving of something that doesn't make you feel like you're on an acid trip. Whereas people who are into more like gaming, for instance, and if you're like, okay, just show me some eye candy or that kind of thing, they want that. They require that. Frankly, they are neurologically, people get neurologically addicted to that kind of a thing. So, long-winded answer to your question, Snail Trail. I think I think you don't feel like you have to do as much of this. But as always, per the earlier discussion, if you have some grunge, dude, I mean, your content is all about grunge. So let that be in your content. What's update? What's update? If the edit doesn't fit your style, it's not going to connect because it won't feel true or genuine. Yes. I mean, you can try to front on things, and you can use stylistic elements. But yeah, if it's not really who you are, eventually there will be cracks in your facade, and that is the more important issue, because people these days know that they can, like, the number one crime in some contexts is being someone other than who you actually say, being someone than who you present yourself to be. The idea of being fake, the idea of not being genuine on social media, that is, people can smell fake a mile away and they will be out the door so fast you won't know what hit you. So yes, be like whatever you can do to be genuine. It's a big deal. HTK Vlogs popping in to say hello. How much I appreciate your videos. Thank you, I appreciate that. Made family vlogs, so not very cinematic, but I always seem to take away great tip every time I watch your videos. Let me tell you, the idea of cinematic, which that's a whole other thing. I could talk about the idea of cinematic and what that is and what that isn't and why people want it so much. But what that cinematic idea ends up being is doing something, like so often the idea of cinematic is the idea of creating a pronounced effect, either in your content or the way that you shoot or the way that you edit, or usually it's just like the whole overall presentation. Please believe, when, saying like, well, I shoot a family vlog, it's not very cinematic. It can absolutely be cinematic in the sense of leaving a profound effect on people when it's well crafted. Does that mean you're going to be flying off to Iceland and sticking your camera out the window and shooting glaciers? Probably not. That's not, I'm not doing that. Like, I have a family, I have a wife and a kid, and I work full time, and I don't have the lifestyle to go off just at the drop of a hat like some of these adventure travel guys. But you know what? It's all good. Let's see. Hamid, you're the best to keep the light green. Awesome. Thank you, man. Thank you for reminding me to be patient, says Lewis. Of course. Keep it up, man. Raising crazies. I'm procrastinating editing to watch this. Opening up the blank project is the worst part. I hear that. Hopefully there will be some things that will resonate with you, and you can and you can be encouraged as a result. Let's see here. So let's go back to more about this. So here's the thing. Here is the truth about flashy editing. It can be great. What you need to know, it's like flashy editing, what it is used for. It is, number one, it is used to create energy where there was not that kind of energy before. So anytime, like when you think about how you view the world, you're looking around, and anytime you change the way or the place that you're looking, that's like the mental, physical equivalent of changing your edit. And so when you're constantly looking around, you're doing this boom, 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 and you're looking here, you're looking there, you are, there is more input coming in. And your brain says like, okay, there's more stuff going on. I'm feeling more energetic. And that's what energetic, flashy editing does. It gives, it provides more input to your brain, and it makes it work harder. Now, if your point is to build and create additional energy on something, then great. That is when you should use flashy editing. You should use jump cuts. You should use speed ramps on your great big drone shots or whatever you want to do. Here is the flip side to that, creating energy. There's a big sloppy rule of thumb that I've found to be true in my career over the years that I've been editing, and here it is. Like, the stronger the content, the fewer edits it actually needs. I will say that again because that's worth remembering. The stronger the content, the fewer edits it needs. I will say, it's like, case in point. When there was a time when I was editing daily entertainment news. I was working on a show for Fox called On Air with Ryan Seacrest. It was a number of years ago, and I was getting in at 7 in the morning, doing so I'd walk into the bay at 7 in the morning. I'd get a script handed to me, and they would say, we need this and another element, and you had to have that stuff done by, you had to have it done like by 10:30 or at the very latest 11 to have it approved and output and fibered down to the studio, to the control room of the studio, because they start shooting the daily show live to tape at 11. And when you hit noon, that show went live to satellite. It was beamed out to millions of people who see the show flash across their screen, and they instantly forget that they ever saw it. Talk about feeling like your work is disposable. I would have to think hard before I would do entertainment news again. But here's the thing. The thing about entertainment news is, so often you have to drum up excitement. You're like, hey, look who's doing this. Look what they said. Look what happened. Look at this movie premiere. This is amazing. This is amazing. And the fact of the matter is, what you have as an editor, you have shots of people standing around on a red carpet. You're like, okay, they're beautiful people, but they're just standing there. So you will see in any daily entertainment news show, it's like flash, bing, bang, boom, 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 boom. It's like, and you got the fancy, you got the electronic music with the walking down the catwalk kind of thing, because it's all about their source material isn't strong. It needs the help of the edit to get drummed up. That has also been the case a lot of the time for some of the reality television that I've cut over my years, which I'm happy to say, as a side note, there is a lot less traditional reality television on the air right now than there was 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, because people have gotten tired of it, and people have gotten actually, I will say one of the reasons is you don't have to just. One of the things that reality television relied on for so much was channel surfers. And so people would be flipping through the channels and say, okay, oh, look, what's this? Oh, what are they doing? Oh, they're fighting, they're arguing. Oh, and next thing you know, you've watched 6 episodes of Keeping Up with the Kardashians or whatever it is. And it was often because of channel surfing. Well, people don't go channel surfing anymore. They pick what shows that they want, and they binge watch them when they feel like it. So that's one of the reasons why there's not a lot of reality television on it anymore. But with that reality television, often the stuff that's no longer around was really weak content. You had people who were just kind of standing around and they weren't doing anything, so the producers are like, okay, we got to make things interesting, so let's get these people drunk and let's get them angry at each other. That makes good TV. Alcohol plus volatile personalities equal fighting equals ratings. And I wish I were kidding. I really wish I were kidding. And I'm very glad that there's much less of that on the air than there used to be. But that stuff needed flashy editing to punch stuff up and to make it feel legitimate. So that's one of the elements is flashy editing can be used to create energy where there was not before. But the flip side of that is beware of, if you are constantly having to do that, you might have content that's not as compelling as it needs to be. Because if it's really compelling, if the stuff is really compelling, you can just throw a shot up and you're like, And the right people will see that and they'll be like, okay, you have my attention. I'm going to check in. I'm going to check in with your comments. Boom, 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 boom. Pop say hello. Thank you for my patient. Like the palm tree transition used for some of your videos, says Javier. Thank you. What's update? Your story about editing the clips for credits where you said the advice all you need is something with the beginning and middle and end was a huge help for me. That is really the foundation of it, man. The idea of the beginning and middle and end, that is where it all starts. Casey's hoverboard. The stronger the content, the fewer the edits. That's golden. It's, I found it to be true. I've found that to be very true. Alex Fishing, would you offer video reviews? You know what? I'm getting more requests for that. That is on my radar. Keep bugging me on that. But if you have any tips for shooting, I end up recording too much content and I'm tired to watch it all and go to the edit because it's consuming time, says Lewis. That I do not have an easy answer for, man, because when you start with a concept, when you start with a concept and you know exactly what you want to shoot, and you go out and do it, and you have this much content, it's a lot easier. But the fact of the matter is, like you were just overseas and you didn't know what was going to happen, so you're just rolling, and that's what you need to do. So I would say, for you, Lewis, the thing to consider is, don't feel like you have to go through all of your footage just to do one specific video. Chunk down what you're trying to accomplish so it's less source material to deal with. Because if you say, I'm going to put together a vlog that's like that comes from 40 hours of footage, good grief, man, you'll never get that thing edited. You will procrastinate that till the cows come home. So if you can say, it's like, okay, I have 2 hours of footage, or even like 30 minutes or an hour of footage where I was in location X and this one thing happened, do a video about that. Chunk it up into smaller pieces. Javier says, The Bachelor still sucks me in sometimes if my wife is watching it. I hear you. Sad that What's Update says, sad that the angry formula is also prevalent on YouTube. Rants and drama catch attention. It's true. It's true. It's relational drama, it's hype, and it helps people who are bored. You're like, oh, I have to watch this, and what do they think, and what are they going to say, and what should they say, and what do I think they should say? It's like, yeah, well, you're vicariously getting pumped up over other people's drama. And people want that. So, c'est la vie. Lewis says, I notice some vlogs that don't use music or edits and cuts, and it makes it really boring to watch, but some people just love that kind of content. Yes, absolutely. And the thing is, you need to know who your audience is and what they want, what they expect. Because if that's what they want, there's a gal, I don't know exactly who this is. There's a gal who does, the entire channel is like, she whispers stories. Like, she whispers stories into the camera. And that's all it is. And she has like a significant following. And people are like, this stuff is amazing. And whereas the bulk of the YouTube public would be like, no. But for her crowd, they absolutely love it. So the point being, there is a style for everyone. There is a, which is why it's so important for us as creators to find out who resonates with our message, find out who they are, find out where they live, find out how to get in front of them, and speak to those people. Do not speak to everyone on the internet, because that is just, you may as well jump off the top of the building right now if that's your aim, because like it takes a very, very specific, very specific formula and collection, like there's a Venn diagram of things working all together to get huge, widespread success. And that goes for YouTube, that goes for television, that goes for movie studios. It is a high-stakes game, well, especially for movies and TV shows. It is a high-stakes game to put together something that has cross-appeal to multiple demographics at once, and it is not easy. It is not at all easy. Let's go back to more about this. So more ideas. So here's something else to keep in mind. Consider flashy, high-energy editing as the icing, not the cake. Because here's the thing. If you make it the foundation, if you make the flashy editing the foundation of what you're doing, number one, it is exhausting. It is so work-intensive. It chews up through footage like you would not believe, and like you've just like cut, speed ramp, cut, jump cut, flash, flare, and all of a sudden like I have no more footage to work with. I just blew through it all. So there's that. If you don't have a huge amount of B-roll going on, then that's going to be, then that will automatically limit how intense your editing gets, because flashy editing just uses up a lot of footage. That's just the way it is. And here's the bigger context. It's like when going back to some of these these comments on Jack's video with all this stuff.
But the story starts when the video that I made last week.
Going back to the stuff that Jack was doing, some of the comments were like, dude, if you keep up this intense editing, you're absolutely going to crush people like Casey Neistat. It's like, if you keep doing this, I will totally watch. And it's like, I'm looking at these comments and I'm like, these people are drug addicts. They are addicted to the flash, to the high impact, to the high energy stimulation. They're sitting here on their phones, on their computers, on their tablets, whatever, and they're like, here, give me another hit, people. Hey, Jack, keep doing your editing so that makes me feel like I'm having a seizure so I can feel normal. Now, maybe that's a little bit exaggerated. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I've never done drugs. That's not my thing. But the thing is, like, if you get people used to a high energy, high stimulus style, they expect that. And it's going to be difficult to maintain that. So do yourself a favor. Do something that's sustainable. Figure out how to kick the can every once in a while. We were talking earlier about kick the can. It's valuable to switch things up, to change the pacing on things. But man, if you try to do it all the time, it is hard. It is a lot of work. Ask me how I know this. Gonna check in with the comments one more time. After things. Imagine classical music, which is mainly crescendos. Yuck. Or any music for that matter. Yes, exactly. Couldn't agree more. Lindsay says the flashy videos are uppers and the ASMR videos are downers. Hey. If mental adjustment without any chemicals needed. What can you say? Well, hey, gonna wrap things up here. So, gonna just say in summary, the goal here is to empower you to make your content everything that you want it to be. And that might involve flashy stuff. That might involve you jumping off that might involve a camera strapped to you as you jump out of an airplane. That might involve you whispering into the camera, or anything in between. Who knows? It might involve 120 frame per second underwater shots of fish staring at the viewer. That actually sounds oddly interesting, just describing that. Don't know for how long that'll keep my attention, but just like, can you imagine just like a fish staring at you at super slow-mo? I don't know, make it work. But one of the best ways to figure out this kind of thing is to ask the right questions. It's like, who am I? What am I wanting to accomplish? What am I trying to say? And who am I trying to say it to? All the kind of questions that are in this guy right here. If you've not gotten a copy of this, there's a link in the description below. It is a checklist of the questions that I have used over the years, and I still use every single day when I'm on my professional editing gigs here in LA. They have changed the way I think about my content, and it literally changed the way I thought about my content when I was putting that checklist together. And there's actually a video training for that coming right up. So yes, it's powerful stuff. It is the real deal. Make sure you get a copy of that. So if this has been helpful for you, actually, one sec. I'm going to just double check your comments. One more time thing. Do I have a Twitter handle? Says HTK Vlogs. You know what? There is a Jeff Bartsch on Twitter. That is actually me, but I don't use Twitter actively. So as of the moment, the answer is no. Lewis says, just got the edit. I got the audiobook in your description. Sweet. Hope you like it, man. And so here's the thing. If this has been valuable, hit that like button and let the algorithm gods know that this has been beneficial so more people can benefit from it. And in the meantime, thank you for being here. It's always a good time interacting with you, hearing what you have to say. And in the meantime, I'm Jeff Bartsch. This is Story Greenlight. And remember, keep telling your stories, do your thing, keep doing it, because there is an audience for you. People need to hear what you have to say because you matter and your message matters. So keep doing what you're doing. All right, I will see you next time. Thanks for hanging out.